Gaming is at a crossroads. From Valve's dominance as the ultimate gaming platform to EA's surprising win with passion-driven projects like It Takes Two, the industry is showing us the highs and some serious lows. Saber Interactive is gearing up for Space Marine 3, bringing more action-packed excitement to a fan-favorite franchise. Meanwhile, Xbox reflects on the console wars of yesteryear as they make bold moves toward a subscription-driven future. On the flip side, studio closures like Monolith's are shining a harsh light on the unsustainable costs behind AAA development. And to round things out, Sony is shaking up the VR landscape with a permanent price cut on the VR2 headset. Big moves, major risks, and everything in between. Let's break it down. Ubisoft just dropped a bombshell announcement that was way too big not to squeeze in after the script was already wrapped and edited. In a significant update to Ubisoft's operational strategy, Ubisoft has created a brand new subsidiary dedicated to handling Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. These are the crown jewels of Ubisoft's catalog, the series that made them a household name in gaming. Now, they're getting their own sandbox play-in, funded by a hefty $1.25 billion investment from Tencent, which holds a 25% minority stake in the venture. So, what's the plan here? According to Ubisoft CEO Ves Gourmand, the goal is to transform these franchises into, quote, evergreen multi-platform ecosystems. That's corporate speak for, we want these games to keep printing money while reaching as many people as possible. Expect beefed up single-player stories, more multiplayer experiments, and maybe even a push into the free-to-play space. Because nothing screams big-budget franchise like battle passes and cosmetics. Let's not sugarcoat it though. Ubisoft's been in choppy waters lately. Delayed games, canceled projects, underwhelming launches, you name it. This new subsidiary might just be the life raft they're betting on, but it hasn't eased the nerves of employees who aren't part of the big three franchises. One anonymous employee expressed their concern saying, quote, we're proud of the work we do, but there's a lot of uncertainty about what this means for those of us not working on these three franchises. Will our projects still get the support they need? That said, let's address the elephant in the room, Tencent's role. With a 25% stake, Tencent won't be calling the shots directly. Ubisoft still controls the subsidiary's board, which means the Chinese tech giant is more of a consultant with perks than an overlord. Still, when you get into bed with Tencent, it's not just about the finances, it's about the long game in global markets. And for those wondering what the heck a subsidiary is, it's essentially a company within a company. Think of it like Ubisoft handing over the keys to its most expensive car collection, but keeping the garage remote. The subsidiary can operate on its own, but the parent company still calls the big plays. So, is this a genius pivot that could refuel Ubisoft's creative engine, or just the latest in a long list of moves to buy themselves time? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, all eyes are on Ubisoft now. While it seems a lot of platforms are trying to formulate a winning strategy due to the gaming industry going through its growing pains, or death throes, only time will tell, Valve has snuck in and laid the blueprint for what these companies seem to be looking for. According to PC Gamer, Steam are attracting people and they aren't leaving. They're just spending more and more money. I myself have made the plunge, and when the home screen opened, I kid you not, it felt like this. So yeah, to say that Steam is a popular platform is an understatement, but to the degree this article outlines left me completely stunned. Now, before we hop into the numbers, here's some context. Valve looked at 1.7 million new customers, observing why they created their accounts and what they did after. Quote, the 1.7 million customers who originated from a top 23 release went on to enjoy more than 141 million hours of playtime in additional games, on top of any playtime from the game that brought them on board. And they aren't just playing games, they're buying new ones too. That cohort of players has gone on to spend $20 million on in-game transactions across hundreds of other games, plus another $73 million on premium games and DLC across thousands more products. This is staggering because it feels like Steam is the last standing refuge for gamers to just play games, and is continuing to grow. Many kudos to Valve, and I hope they continue to. Now, when it comes to EA, it's easy to see why gamers don't think they have their best interests at heart. I was fully ready to write this as another opportunity to point out their many shortcomings, the lack of innovation, the microtransactions, meddling in development of games. There is much criticism that they hold, but I have to say, Joseph Fares, the mastermind behind It Takes Two and the recent hit Split Fiction, two games I really need to get my hands on by the way, has some kind words to cut through all the negativity that EA has received over the years. Quote, for some reason, people like to hate EA. I don't know why. My relationship with them is very good. They're super supportive of us. So I have nothing bad to say about them. Because when you have a great game, we're seeing it with Split Fiction, a game done only from passion, a game where you literally don't have to buy 2 copies, a game that doesn't have any microtransactions, and you see the success it does. I mean, it's even a financial success, obviously, because people want to pay for something that feels great. So I just hope it inspires other publishers to do that. As much as I don't want to say, he has very good points. EA allowed Ferris to sell the game and give another away for free with Friends Pass, and the added bonus is cross-platform. There are no microtransactions and it's only $50. And the cherry on top, apparently it's really good. This does change up my perception a bit, allowing me to see the potential that they have to be a company that operates with passion instead of spreadsheets. But here's where I still hesitate. Ferris's experience feels more like an exception than the rule. EA's reputation wasn't built overnight, and it wasn't built on passion projects like this. It'll take more than one masterpiece to convince me that EA is fundamentally changing. Let's not forget, had It Takes Two failed, it wouldn't have been such a fairy tale ending. I love that the guy is full of excitement and he seems to be leading his team that way. But production budgets across the game industry are bloated and unsustainable. The prices of games have gone up, but the quality of the games are tanking. Everyone is trying to find that one live service lottery ticket, and we've seen way too many attacks on players. There's a reason the outlook of the AAA game industry is faltering. Now, moving on to Saber Interactive and Focus Entertainment. After releasing one of the best action games, full stop, Saber has announced they are beginning production on a sequel. The official announcement read like this, quote, "We are pleased to announce that the development for Warhammer 40k Space Marine 3 has officially begun at Focus Entertainment, Saber Interactive, and Games Workshop. We'll share updates on this new title when the time is right. For now, our focus remains on delivering the best possible content for Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. So at the time of writing, I still haven't played it, but good news, my Steam Deck is finally here. By the time I'm recording this, and Space Marine 2 is in my wish list. But with the backlog getting longer by the day, I hope I have time to roll credits before this hits shelves. Now, it really seems like a lot of these former execs are making the rounds on podcasts lately. Sean Layden has been front and center many times. Shuhei Yoshida is cataloging his time at PlayStation, so it's a nice change of pace to see the former vice president of Microsoft, Peter Moore, pipe up and give us the inside scoop on his time at Xbox. Speaking on Danny Pena's YouTube channel, he talks about how he and the company encouraged the console wars because he thought that it was good for the industry. Here's the full quote. "I think the console wars that you're alluding to were healthy for the industry. Look, I've said it before, certainly I did, encourage the battle because I think gamers love to see Xbox versus PlayStation, maybe Nintendo as well, and that I think was a rising tide lifting all ships. Now, me personally, I think it was the right move at the time. They were the new kid on the block, and if they weren't aggressive in getting eyes on their product, they wouldn't have survived one generation. But, like he mentions in the article, the times have changed, innovation demands that you change with it, and that means that they are looking more to a subscription-based model. I'm sure Blockbuster would have a lot to say about that." And just an aside, I would absolutely love to see a tell-all from a Blockbuster exec about why exactly they didn't think Netflix would be a very big threat. Leave in the comments if you'd watch that, or if there's one out there floating around. Anyway, Xbox is making a huge gamble on their future right now, and if they can pull off a win here, I sincerely believe that they will be the leading name in the next 10 years or less. With subscriptions slowing and their console floundering, it's easy to say they might have bet on the wrong horse, but I still believe they have an opportunity to set the tone for the next phase of the game industry. All this from a PlayStation stand, by the way. I've owned all of PlayStation's consoles, but their lack of innovation might be their downfall. Am I totally out of my mind here? Go ahead and leave it in the comments what you think the future holds for the game industry. So we touched on the closure of the 3 studios that were shuttered in a prior video. In an effort to right a sinking ship, WB shuttered 3 studios, and it feels like they have nothing to show for it. I mean, if a studio like Monolith is shut down, I think it's safe to say they might not know what they're doing. Right? Yes and no. No doubt that this studio has proven itself to be of value to WB, but recently, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg broke the story that Monolith spent $100 million on the Wonder Woman game that they were in the middle of developing, and they were nowhere near finished. The co-founders of Monolith sat down with The Guardian to talk about their time at the studio before its eventual closure, and it's a really good read. They discussed the birth of the studio and the history, cataloging all the projects the studio has worked on and their stories. It's a really good read. Check it out. But the one thing that sticks out to me comes courtesy of Garrett Price, one of the founders. Quote, "I don't think I ever really considered the possibility that it would shut down one day. So The reason I'm hung up on this is because the smoldering remains of this situation happening over and over again tell a story of too high costs with very little return. The runaway costs are a huge part of the puzzle when diagnosing the cause of a lot of these layoffs. Obviously, not all. I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but enough for everyone to take notice. I said this in the last video, I felt like the dust was settling and maybe we were finding some equilibrium, but when I hear a comment like this, knowing what we know about the budget, it just drives home the mentality is deep rooted and we may not have seen the worst to come. Now, to some good news. While Sony's consoles are getting more expensive, they just announced that they are permanently slashing the price of the VR2 headset from $550 US to $400 US. Back in December, they had an even bigger sale, seeing the headset drop to an attractive $350. According to Reddit, the sales were boosted 20 times what they were. It makes sense that Sony would take notice and we'd see another sale, but a permanent slash in price was unexpected in my opinion. VR still feels very niche, and when you have companies like Apple with their Vision Pro priced at $3,500, completely pricing large swaths of the population out of being able to own one, it feels like it will remain that way for a long while. Kudos to Sony though, maybe this is the first step into a virtual future. Now, looking at the game industry today, it's clear we're standing at a turning point. Things are shifting, but the direction they'll ultimately take remains uncertain. Valve continues to set the bar high, reminding us that a focus on players, not just profits, can create something truly sustainable. EA showed a glimpse of what's possible when passion takes the lead, even if it's just one project for now. Saber is keeping the excitement alive for action fans, and Xbox is taking calculated risks that could redefine the future, or push them back to the drawing board. On the flip side, Monolith's closure is a sobering reminder of the challenges AAA gaming faces. The runaway costs and unsustainable expectations tell us the industry still has a lot to figure out, but there's hope in the moves like Sony's price cut on the VR2, showing that forward-thinking strategies can open new doors. Gaming is evolving, sometimes painfully, sometimes brilliantly. The big question is, what comes next? As players, we're right in the thick of it, shaping the industry with our time, money, and feedback. Anyway, leave your thoughts about this and all the other topics that we covered in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time, but until then, keep it casual. Peace.